All right, here we go. Middle holding, chapter 13, page 191 in the old. What page, Ira?
198 in the new.
198 in the new by the 3 stars. Yeah, you have the new print. So last time, in our previous class, we were discussing somebody who, he learns Torah, and he has control, but he always has to be vigilant, because you never know when that hunger for something undesirable, or it could be desirable, but it's totally for selfish purposes, can swell up. Even we ended off last week saying the whole world comes to you and says you're a great guy, you're an awesome guy, you're a tzaddik, everything you do, I never heard you say anything wrong, I never do anything wrong, I'm sure all your thoughts are pure. But you can never believe them 100%. He said, maybe they're there, I just never allow them to be expressed. And because I'm always surrounded by the worldly environment, I always have to be on my toes. What about the guy who doesn't spend his time surrounded by worldly environment? He spends his time in shul, spends his time in the bet midrash, in the study hall, just learning. What about him? Is he a Beinoni or is he a tzaddik? So keeping in mind what we said last week and the week before, the difference between a tzaddik and a Beinoni is what's going on inside. The Beinoni looks like a Russia inside and looks like a tzaddik outside, right? So you could be doing everything perfect outside, but inside you still have that challenge. Let's go. 19 to Tevis. The Alter Rebbe says, Hashem chefsa, even if one's total aspiration is learning Torah, and he learns Torah day and night. Not only does he learn Torah day and night, lishma, for its own sake, because you have guys who learn Torah. Why? Because they want to be a big rabbi. They want everyone to know, right? I finished all the Talmud, and I did this and I did that. The soda in the fridge, if you like. I accomplished all these great things. So that's not called learning Torah for the sake. When learning Torah for the right reasons mean you learn, and you're quiet about it. I'm sure people find out, but that's not not the reason. You're learning just so because it's God's Torah. This is no proof at all that the evil has been dislodged from its place. You have to remember one thing. That as human beings, every single human being is born with a tendency to like material things. If you drive a Nissan and you want a Lexus, does that make you a bad guy? It makes you a normal guy, right? If you have a bagel and cream cheese and you want lox, does it make you a bad guy? It makes you a normal guy. That's the way we come preconditioned out of the box. So for a person to think to himself for a moment that, oh no, I'm happy with crusty bread and water, and I don't need I don't need a French croissant. Actually, my friend is in Paris now. I should ask him to bring me back a croissant. But my kids watched an episode. You know this guy, Meshuggah the Mr. Beast? He's the biggest YouTube guy in the whole world. He's like 90 million followers.
That's mainly why I probably don't know him. I don't watch YouTube.
Anyway, so my kids watched a episode where he goes over to this guy, middle of nowhere, a stranger, says I want some French bread. Can I send you to Paris to get French bread? So most people say, get out of here. The one guy said, are you serious? The guy, they take a video of him. He goes to Paris and he buys the bread. And he flies back. Some crazy, and it's some crazy video. Anyway, so
there was a movie like that back in the 70s.
70s.
Yeah, it had a very odd name called Magic Christian.
No. Ella Yachaliyas is possible. That his essence, it means his natural way is just as strong as it was. In his left heart, it means he's just as much as a as a person that can give into temptation, a sensuous person. Only that his animal soul doesn't find expression in his mind or his mouth, or his hand, just because you don't do it, does that mean you can't do it? Does that mean you won't find pleasure in doing it? I'm angry at you. I want to punch you in the face. And it'll make me feel very, very good to punch you in the face. The law says I can't punch you in the face, so I don't. Does that mean I don't want to? I still want to. Does that mean it won't make me feel good? It'll make me feel very good. Just because you don't do it doesn't mean you're incapable of doing it. It doesn't even mean that you don't find it appealing. So that's not. So it's almost like saying, "Oh, I've never committed a crime. I can't," because you haven't. There's a line in Pirkei Avot that says, "Don't believe in yourself till the day you die. Don't ever think you're incapable." Because he's living by the line that Alter Rebbe taught us in chapter 12, which is the mind rules over the heart. Therefore, nefesh halakis, the godly soul, in the mind, mushalas katana, it rules the small city, which is the body. Your body is the small city, and in this case, his godly soul is the king, but not because there isn't anyone challenging him to be number one. It's like the Bulls, right? The Bulls and also the Lakers also three-peated, right?
Yeah.
Right? So just because you keep winning doesn't mean no other team's trying.
Yeah.
Right? Shiyu levush merkava. And so the godly soul makes his body a conduit and a chariot for its expressions. So the express train is stopping by those animal soul stations. Doesn't mean the station doesn't exist. Which are the three garments: thought, speech, and action. Which are the 613 commandments of the Torah. Aval, however, but the godly soul itself doesn't have absolute control over the animal soul. So remember, there are three entities over here. You got the godly soul, you got the animal soul, and then you got the person. So just because the godly soul has rule over the person, doesn't mean it has rule over the animal soul. Think of your body as a piece of land, and these two different governments are fighting over it. So now the United States controls California and New Mexico. Why? Because we got a better army. Right? Let's say in 50 years, fortune changes. Mexico becomes a superpower. And they decide to take Texas, California, all that back. What happened? The line didn't change. Now instead of having an American flag, there's a Mexican flag. I remember there was a story, this is like 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. It really, really bothered me. There were these guys who were angry something about some policy in California, United States, so they went into a post office. They're immigrants. They lowered the American flag and put up the Mexican flag. I'm like, you don't like it here? Leave! You came here because it's better. So what do you? So you want to make it? All right. That came to my mind. I don't know why. Anyway, so but the point is, just because the United States controls Texas today, does that mean the United States can't lose control? Look what happened in Afghanistan. The United States left, Taliban came back. Proof is, the United States had to be vigilant, guarding, always. Why? Because the second you turn around, Taliban's back. That's exactly what's going on. So why? So and the United States say, oh, we don't have to be there anymore. 10 years, Taliban, or 15 years, whatever it was, Taliban hasn't done anything. Victory. We could just pull out. And all the experts are saying to them, you think Taliban's gone? It's not gone. It's just quiet because you have such a better army. What they are is quieted and subservient, but they're not eliminated. I think that's a great analogy of what's going on over here. Your body is Afghanistan. Your animal soul is the Taliban. Your godly soul is the United States Army. And the United States Army has been ruling your body for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And finally, people come to you and say, you can evacuate, you can get out. You're fine. And the Alter Rebbe, the expert, the military expert, is telling you, the moment you think that, it's come back. It says, so the animal soul is never conquered. Going back into chapter 12, only when the time of love of Hashem is so great, it's so expressed, it's so unbelievable. On propitious times, my b'shas tefillah, that we spoke about in chapter 12, where a guy can reach such states of ecstasy during prayer, it's as if he doesn't have a godly soul. That's the only time a normal person can experience tzaddikhood, right? Like a righteous person. He's so holy, he doesn't even, the animal soul can't even think to say anything. And even then, during those times, it's only a preponderance and dominion alone. The divine soul succeeds in dominating the animal soul, not in vanquishing it. Because like it says, the famous story, when Rivka goes to Aver, Shem and Aver. Shem was the son of Noach, and then his grandson Aver. They were the holy people of the time. And she had all these birth pangs. It says that whenever she would pass by the yeshiva of Shem and Aver, the study hall of Shem and Aver, Yaakov would try to get out. Whenever she would pass by idolatry, Esau would try to get out. And she had no idea she had twins. She had twins. She said, I have a confused kid. So she went to Shem and Aver and he said, you have twins. And these two kids can't be more different. And they're going to be so different. It's always going to be a seesaw. When one's up, one's down. And it says, and one nation shall always prevail over the other. So either Yaakov is doing better than Esav is doing better than Yaakov. Never both up and never both down. So either your godly soul is up, or your godly soul is down. There is no tie. Sorry. B'shezeh come, b'zeh neifel, b'shezeh come, b'zeh neifel. When one's up, one's down. B'shezeh come. So during a time of prayer, where the godly soul is such a state of ecstasy and it's risen to such great heights, yeah. So the animal soul is fallen, and the animal soul is totally vanquished, but it's not eradicated. Let's look at the note on the bottom over there, note 7. The Rebbe explains therefore that why the Alter Rebbe quotes only half of the second phrase when this one rises. If you look at over there, it says this one rises, this one falls, and then he says this one rises. Alter Rebbe's purpose in quoting the second phrase is to show that animal soul could rise once again, though it has fallen during prayer. The rest of the verse is irrelevant here. You have to remember that when Alter Rebbe wrote the Tanya, every single word, every single letter was measured carefully. So the Rebbe is teaching us that it's not just, Alter Rebbe didn't get lazy and just write etc. There's a reason why he left it out. And he continues, when the divine soul gains strength and ascendancy over the animal soul, and the source of strength, Bina, which is the faculty of Bina, which is understanding. Because how does it really work? Your animal soul wants to do something. How does a godly soul counter that? No, chocolate cake doesn't taste good.
No, I mean that you can't.
You're going to lose that fight 100 out of 100 times. Actually, let's
No,
go. Let's go get
chocolate
to.
cake is not really good for me right now because my sugar level's way up. So I can't have it even though I want it.
So basically, you're using understanding that something is greater. Yeah, it's good, but something's greater. That's using understanding, knowledge to fight back. Because, imagine a kid falls and hurts himself, and they're crying, their knee's hurting, and you go to them and say, doesn't really hurt. Or it's no big deal. The kid's thinking to himself, what are you talking about? It hurts. And it is a big deal. My knee hurts. To me, it's a big deal. So they tell parents, don't ever say that to a kid. You tell them, I understand, and give it some time, it'll get better, but the pain is real. So with the godly soul goes to the animal soul, says, I understand the God, you're 100% right. The animals, the chocolate cake is very delectable and very attractive and it's very good. But I'll give you something better than that. Let's replace the chocolate cake with God. You can't measure up. And he says over here, page 195, he says, this is using the power of understanding. He says, to contemplate, to think of the godless Hashem Eitzei Baruch Hu, or the greatness of Hashem and his Ein Sof, so instead of having a fiery desire for chocolate cake, now, because if I showed you a $5 bill, I want the $5. Yeah, free $5, right? You want, right? Then I showed you a 50. You want the 50? All of a sudden, a little fuzz. You have more. What happened? Didn't you want the $5? Yeah, but you now appreciated something bigger, greater. So the love for the 5 was replaced. You can only love one thing at a time. You can only feel one emotion. You can't love the chocolate cake and God simultaneously. Imagine you're sitting there in the middle of the Amida, God, I love you. I mean, I don't know what actions get you thrown out of shul, but that's
one that would get you thrown out, I think.
What?
Pretty darn close.
It's saying, God, I love.
Cake while you're doing the Amida.
Right? And the guy goes over to him and says, what are you doing? I'm doing this for God, right? You can only love one thing at a time. So you love the chocolate cake, but then you start to think to yourself about something even better than chocolate cake. Chocolate cake is a 5. God is the 50. Well, he's much greater than the 50, right? And so your love for the chocolate cake is displaced and replaced by something greater. And he says, and then skafia sitr achra. And now, what was the other side? Remember, sitr achra is the evil, the animal soul. Because what's wrong with chocolate cake? Is chocolate cake the problem? What's the problem with chocolate cake?
Nothing. It's good.
It's the dry for chocolate cake that's the problem, right? Chocolate cake is not bad. It's why you're eating a chocolate cake, right? So anything that with the desire is not constructive, that's called the other side. Because there's constructive actions and everything else. Anything you do that's not constructive is the other side. So in Alter Rebbe, just going back to where we started in the beginning of the book, in Alter Rebbe's view, there is no just. I'm doing it. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just. Either you're doing things that are constructive, or you're not. The line is actually black and white. It's not. If you think about it, if you go through the course of your day, if you would write down every single action through the course of the day, you can, and you're honest with yourself. You can see, I wasted time here. I did this just because I felt like it. I really needed to do this. Right? So this is Avol, but just because he thought about the God's greatness, right? Whatever it is, and it displaced the feeling of chocolate cake. Does that mean he can never desire chocolate cake ever again?
No, it'll probably come back and
Probably.
raise its ugly head again.
It's going to come. Avol loy nispat or legamri abeinani.
Keep fighting.
Exactly, but it's not entirely abolished by the Beinani. Ela b'tzadik, only by the tzaddik. Shenema boy v'li v'chol b'kir. That tzaddik, the righteous, the purely holy righteous person, doesn't desire chocolate cake. All right, there's some tzaddikim who cannot even understand why you desire chocolate cake. What are you doing desiring chocolate cake when
Then if he eats food, he doesn't like food?
the tzaddik doesn't taste food?
Oh.
He eats it because he has to,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, for sustenance, but
doesn't taste it.
it's not like for pleasure.
Right. Yeah. That's what we spoke about in chapter 10. Such a person is not a normal person. It's not even obtainable because it's a gift from God to reach such a level where you don't taste food, where you eat just to nourish your body, where you treat your physical self as the other. Right? I mean, it's not a normal level. So what I'm saying over here is, let's not trick ourselves and think that because I reached a level at one point where I didn't desire chocolate cake or whatever it is, you could take out the chocolate cake and put in potato chips, whatever, right? And that you're incapable of having that desire once again. It says, because the tzaddik, it says, the tzaddik here despises evil, and hates and with absolute disgust and hatred. Or we learned in chapter 11 and 10, maybe not with absolute hatred, but still he has no desire. But now, by the word cholol, the Rebbe writes in the thing over here, note number 9. The word cholol means a corpse, but also means hollow. Why? Because the corpse is hollow of a soul. That's what he says. So David HaMelech has no Yetzer Hara. Alter Rebbe continues, he has slain it through fasting, to indicate that David had not attained the level of Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu, who transformed his Yetzer Hara. David has merely slain it. So there's different levels. David had none. Avram had what was a Yetzer Hara, but now he turned it into another Yetzer Hara. I mean, that's why, Avram Avinu's he's on a different level. Avram Avinu's like, he's way up there. Alvo Bebeinani. Let's finish off these next 6 pages and we'll go to the and we'll stop. Alvo Bebeinani uderech mashal ka'adam yashin. By Beinani, the evil inclination is sleeping. Every kid's cute when they're sleeping, and every kid's an angel when they're sleeping. It's when they're awake that's a problem. My daughter had babysat the other night, and she calls us up, Cyril and I, in a panic. The parent promised me they're going to be sleeping, and I came when all the kids are awake. Then what do I do, right?
Put them to bed.
No, but the kid didn't go to bed yet. So just because it's when you're sleeping, you still have the capacity, but you're sleeping. It's dormant. Same thing as the evil in the Beinani. It's sleeping. Is the potential for evil sleeping. B'shas Krishma b'tefillah, when he davens the Shema and he says the Amidah, Shaliber boyer ba'avas Hashem. At that time, his heart is aflame with the love of Hashem. Once he finishes davening, Yachol l'chayzer v'nir, the evil can awaken. Let's go back to chapter 1. Chapter 1, we were introduced to a man named Rabbah. Rabbah is one of the greatest people of the Gemara, and Rabbah said about himself that he's a Beinani. But it says, but even the angel of death couldn't take Rabbah's soul because he never stopped learning Torah. So his nephew, Abaya, said, Rabbah, if you're a Beinani, that makes us Russia. That's not fair. Right? And you're giving us a chance. So obviously Rabbah was a tzaddik. So why, and we said, one of the questions we asked, going back to one of the first classes, you're welcome to go back there, that a mistake is made when things are close. Right? If it's 99, they say 100. But when something's 50, you don't say 100. When something's not even close. If Einstein would say, no, I'm really stupid, I'm really a dummy, you don't, it's foolishness, it's not even close. Einstein would say, I'm not as great, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan says, I'm not that good at basketball. Something stupid you would say. So how could Rabbah say, I'm a Beinoni if he's clearly a tzaddik. But because we learned over here that a Beinoni never sins, and a Beinoni's the whole reason why he doesn't sin is because he's always activating that godly part, but the potential for evil is all there. So let's say you're constantly involved in doing mitzvot. You're constantly involved in learning Torah. So your godly soul is always aflame, which means your animal soul never has a chance to even waken. So maybe you're a Beinoni, you don't know it. Now let's go back to page 197. What page in the new print? For Lachain, therefore Rabbah? For this reason? Yeah.
What?
202 you said?
Yeah,
For this reason,
202.
Rabbah? Yeah, for this reason in the new print.
Awakening.
Yeah. So for this reason, that's why Rabbah thought of himself as a Beinoni after the pasuk Mugirsa, although he never stopped learning Torah. And he desired learning Torah day and night with the craving, desire, and longing. And his soul was yearning with overabundance love. A Rabbah experienced love of God like a person can experience in Shema. And Lamida, he experienced that the entire day. But he thought he was a Beinoni because what was Rabbah doing? Rabbah was in a state of prayer the entire day. Just remember, we learned in chapter 12 and now in this chapter that when a Beinoni is in a state of prayer, the animal soul is so overwhelmed that the Beinoni can mistake it and think that it's been vanquished and nullified and eradicated. It's because the Rabbah was in a constant state of prayer. He thought maybe it's overwhelmed, but not eradicated. But Abaya says, no. Tells his uncle, no. That's your see. Now we understand because that's close. Because the Beinoni and Tzaddik is close. Because it could be. Imagine you're in state of prayer the entire day, so your animal soul never has a chance to have an opinion. So you think I don't have an animal soul. Because that's why the rabbis say, "Halavai she is followed and kol yom I wish a person would pray the whole day. So that's what we got to do. So we got to fill up on prayer, and then later in the day, it's easier to access that greater understanding of godliness, because we think to ourselves, why would I indulge and do this action, but I can do something a lot greater. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. I think we're gonna.